I think the biggest story in hockey right now is that Brad Marchand has broken the Toronto Maple Leafs.
He's back, baby.
He is back. And I rejected yesterday. I said we cannot say that he needs to, quote unquote, get going, because when you have 3 points in the first 2 games of the series, it just means you're a good player who hasn't gone off. Last night, he went off by pissing off the Leafs a bunch, got Sheldon Keefe to cry after the game. We'll play that at some point. Answered a Tyler Bertuzzi goal really quickly, was all up in Tyler Bertuzzi's brain, fucking with him so much. And the Leafs basically had a meltdown over the fact that Brad Marchand exists. That is Brad Marchand being back. He is such a fucking legend. And if anybody could destroy the Leafs in this series, other than Jake DeBrusk, who does that every time he plays the Maple Leafs, it's Brad Marchand.
So I don't feel like he's broken the Leafs or like turned them into crybabies. Their reaction last night was them trying so hard not to be crybabies, but wanting to be crybabies. I felt like they handled it okay in the face of the public.
Oh,
Like
did they?
They didn't straight up cry. They were like, they kind of seemed resigned that Brad Marchand will do this to them at some point in a series, and that they allowed him to get to them last night.
Okay, well, I'll say that the crying occurs with Sheldon Keefe after the game, which I will say that happens every series. At some point, you need to complain about the officiating in a playoff series, and it's very lame, but it's just what happens. And it's basically like who takes the first shot, which team complains about it first. This happens all the time, where last night it was Sheldon Keefe that said, hey, Brad Marchand is out here getting all these calls. We need basically better officiating here as it relates to Brad Marchand. And tomorrow or after game 4, you'll get Jim Montgomery probably saying something about, I don't know if they were influenced by what the other coach was saying, but I think we didn't get a lot of calls tonight. This happens all the time, and I don't judge teams too harshly for it because it's just a game you have to play. It's almost like selling calls and diving. You have to fucking do it. It's not good behavior, but it is par for the course.
It's gamesmanship. And I mean, if there was ever a night to complain about the officiating, it was last night. And I don't like being the guy. I think it's like such shitty fan behavior to be like, oh, fucking refs. It's everybody can complain about that. It's the easiest card that you can play as a fan. Last night, both fan bases certainly had cause to play that card. The officiating was horrible all the way around for both teams. Like, Austin Matthews gets tackled behind the net, no call. Marchand trips Bertuzzi, no call, leads to the Frederick goal. Like, the officiating was all over the place, and there were makeup calls that were horrible. The McAvoy call after the Marchand trip was awful. That never gets called in a playoff game. So the officiating was absolutely atrocious. Everybody has cause to complain about it. But the Sheldon Keefe thing seemed like he wanted to complain about Marchand so bad, but that at the end he was like, you have to respect it.
I'll have this rant at some point, but I will just say that on your first line, on your second line, Tyler Bertuzzi, John Tavares, with your coach and with your goaltending, all over your lineup, and Morgan Riley's on your team as well, so you know he's going to do something stupid. You have anybody ranging from really fucking stupid to incompetent, because we're not going to talk enough about what a fucking bad goal that was for Ilya Samsonov to give up short side off the rush to Trent fucking Frederick, who we love Trent Frederick. We're a Trent Frederick show. Ilya Samsonov, Jesus fucking Christ, bud. Really bad.
Can't give up that goal, and it's kind of a miracle that the Leafs haven't been like punished worse for the play of Ilya Samsonov. Like, if you're the Bruins, just put pucks on net. And I know that's so cliche and so trite, but like throw pucks at the net. You may get one of those to go in, because the Frederick goal was awful.
You want cliche? I'll give you a cliche. As we're being huge Boston homers, let's bring in Katie Nolan. Hi, Katie.
Hi, you guys. That was a good transition.
Thank you so much. We're working on our craft. We've gotten really good.
Who is producing this? You guys, this looks so good.
That's our
look at
pal
us.
Sean. Meet Sean DePaz. He's the best.
Hi,
Hello.
Sean.
Nice to meet you.
Oh,
Wow,
good. You have
how-
a microphone.
Yeah, this is. I mean, and look at you. You're.
I know,
recognize
the
that set
one
from a
that
podcast
stands-
I listen to.
Oh, you listen to it. You
I
sweetheart.
do. Can I was gonna throw this in there at some point, maybe as an awkward sign off. I don't know Dan, but this is what I can say about Dan. If we did know each other, I'm positive I would like him. I don't know if he would like me. I can't say like we'd get along. I just know that I would like him. That's all I can give.
You'd absolutely get along. I like that you bailed on that. I feel like you were going to say you'd be friends. Then you got nervous and you were like, I'd like him. He'd like
No,
you. You'd be friends.
I'm not going to bullshit a bullshitter. I can't.
He doesn't assume that anybody will be friends with him.
I've been burned too many
Aren't we all
times.
depressed in this room? I don't think that's a...
I've been burned too many times. Well, I wanted to ask you this. What's your experience like right now as a Boston sports fan? Because you're hammering these Bruins games. Celtics are doing God knows what, as they're probably going to at least go to the NBA Finals. But Patriots' third overall pick tonight. I feel like you as a Boston sports fan won't get the respect you deserve because we don't automatically win everything right now. So you actually have to like kind of experience it.
Here's the thing. People don't ever want to hear from a fan base who has experienced a lot of success in recent years. They do not want complaints from people who have had nothing but dessert for dinner for the last few years. But there are complaints to be had. And someday, hopefully, sports fans should all want to get to the point where they are us. Their team has won for a bunch of years. You can't do it forever. So you have this down period. So I think it would be wise if they would let us talk about the experiences of having this down period, if only to inform their future selves. But anyway, so let me complain. I forgot that we had to care about the draft. We never had to care about the draft. We traded those first 2-round picks away every year. I was always like, oh, look at all my friends caring. I don't have to care. So now we have to care because we stink big. And you just reminded me that it's tonight. So let me make sure that I
Is that right?
watch it, I guess.
It
Yeah,
seems like
I
a bad
genuinely-
year to have to care about the draft, too.
I know. And I also don't know if that's just tied in with me feeling like it's a bad year everywhere in life in general. Like, I never know if it's like, is that my depression talking or is that actually the current state of things? And so I didn't know if it's just because like I don't, our team sucks right now, football wise, that we're like, it's a bad year for the draft. I don't know. I wonder if everybody always thinks that, but I just do feel like I find it hard to care when they're children. Once they're pros, I can care about them. I don't care about them when they're children. All the pros look like children to me now anyway, because I'm almost friggin' 40.
I will say the white quarterbacks look especially like they're 5 years old. They all look like they are 5 years
crazy.
old.
When I saw Zach Wilson
crazy.
take the pictures in the hotel mirror like he was going to prom, I was like, there's no way he's going to be at a good
Did
NFL
you
Yeah,
see
but I was gonna say,
who's
you also
that?
said he's a bust, and like he fucking was because of that.
I was like, there's no way this guy can lead a team. He's taking pictures
was
like
that,
he's going to prom.
Who was that? The Orioles player who's in his rookie year now, but he was drafted like 2 or 3 years ago. And when they put his picture up, everybody was like, he's a baby. He looks like the lead in a movie about summer camp. This is not a professional athlete. They're all babies now. So good for them, though, I guess.
Let me ask you this question. What's your relationship with like the Bruins in regards to the rest of the Boston sports team? Because it seems like you're pretty
most
fucking
important.
fired up about the Bruins.
They're the most important to me. That's my family. Like my brother played hockey growing up. So I was dragged to all of that as a child, kicking and screaming because I hated it, because nobody else played a sport where it was especially cold, where you had to go watch them do it. And I just hated it. But then now that I'm older, and I spent so much of my life in that world, I realized that like, oh, I actually loved it. It's like it's my heart. It's who I am as a person. It just was so cold and I was such a little girl, and he never came to my dance recitals.
What an
Or
asshole.
softball games. I know. No, he's actually the best. I will not disparage my brother. My brother rules, and I get to, we play video games together every night. So, getting to hear him last year was the worst. And that has informed the way I'm watching it this year. I don't know if this is true for you guys as well, but last year hurt so much that this year I'm like on edge constantly. Last night I had to Google if it's bad to stay feeling like you're about to throw up for too long. Like if that feeling should only ever last like 30 minutes before you actually do throw up. Because for 2.5 hours, I was like feeling like I was going to puke.
I feel like the opposite. I feel like last year completely numbed me. And this year I just feel like I can't be hurt.
Last year,
Good way to
famously,
look at it.
last year That was the last time I drank alcohol.
True.
And then I slept for 17 hours and nobody could find me. And I missed that game. And I
my
woke up
God.
and I still had ESPN on because I was watching basketball when I went to sleep. And on the ticker, it was like Florida 4, Boston 3. That season's
totally
over.
forgot about that.
And
he legitimately slept through the entirety of Game 7 and like 12 hours after the fact. I thought that he was dead.
so I just missed all that. So I was numb in
I
a
mean-
different way.
Jeez Louise.
So you think you got problems? Anyway.
Oh no, wait, you did ask something I didn't answer that I actually want your guys' answer on. Is like, again, anybody who's not a Bruins fan or a Boston fan, you're gonna hate the next thing that comes out of my mouth, but please let me ask this question of my two friends who have a show. What do you do when your two teams in two different sports are playing playoff games at the exact same time?
I have multiple screens going, multiple TVs
Yeah,
going.
me too. But I also have, I care more about no offense, I care more about the Bruins. They mean more to me. So like I had the Celtics were on my laptop, but I didn't find that enjoyable. And when it got too stressful, I was like, I'll just watch the Celtics game later. Does that make me a bad person? Go.
No,
No.
that makes a lot of sense. And I like that you bring that up because when I have multiple TVs going, I don't fucking see anything other than what I'm watching. And sometimes I have to
Football
actively
is the
remind
easiest
myself
to do it
to
with.
just pick
That's
one.
why Red Zone works. Football is the easiest to do it with. That's why Red Zone works, because they can cut to like the action. You can kind of tell. But like constant action back and forth sports, it's too hard. It's too
Yeah,
much.
like,
Playoff
realistically,
hockey
you can't-
requires my attention.
Realistically, you can't pay attention to two games at once. Like in hockey, whether it's hockey, basketball, you can't pay attention to both. You have to be committed to one, and then like the other one you check in on.
I respect though that you do the DVR and watch after because I have never been able to watch a game after it has happened.
No,
If it's
I've
not
never.
live
DJ, that was a
sports,
joke.
Dave
I'll
doesn't
ruin
want
it. Can I ruin it? Can I ruin it? I just needed a way to get out of that video, and so I said that I did not DVR. I've never watched DVR at sports because it's too the experience is the live moment. There's no if you're gonna skip through, if it's something you're like looking for a specific player or a specific play, but I don't. I guess I would DVR as like a backup for if something crazy happened and I wanted to go back and watch it, but it's not going to happen.
I will say,
like, and you have to live like you're in 1960 if you're going to DVR sports. Like, you can't be on your phone.
You can't touch the internet. Yeah,
exactly.
I was going to say, that's what I'm doing tonight with the NFL draft. I am closing the laptop. I am going to be even less looking at text messages, not seeing Twitter, not seeing nothing. I am turning on fucking ESPN and letting those old idiots just fucking hand it to. Oh, a trade has come in knowing that the world has known it for 45 minutes. I want it that way.
So true. We do. Oh, that's so very Backstreet Boys of you. You do have to turn your phone off because everybody's like, it's about being first. It's about getting it. And I'm like, I actually just liked the TV show of it.
Yes.
I don't need to. I don't want to have to like look for, did you see that one tweet? And especially now, because Twitter, I don't see some of the tweets I think I would have seen. Like I'm seeing tweets from weird people about weird stuff now because that website's a goddamn mess.
What's your thoughts on the Girthmaster?
What?
That's the best clip of the show.
I don't know what it means either, but he asked the question.
There's a main
It's
character
exactly
on
my
Twitter
favorite.
this week called the Girthmaster. Sean, do you know who I'm talking about?
I think you forget that your timeline is based on the things
It's
that you
not just me.
search up.
It's not just me. I've checked around.
I have no idea what you're
Give
talking
any other context and maybe we'll know what you're talking about.
There's a guy. There was like a clip that went viral this week of an Australian guy who got interviewed on the street, and they were like, "What do you do for work?" He's like, "I'm a content creator on OnlyFans. I make $100,000 a month." And people investigated it. They found his profile. He named himself the Girthmaster, and he has a penis that is like the size of a wine bottle. It is ridiculous.
You know what's funny is the only interaction I've had with this is Dan. This is on Dan's whatever page where he was like, "You see the Girthmaster thing," which now I'm realizing you guys were talking. That's crazy. What?
Chat is like out of control right now. They are totally upset with me.
The whole chat is like, Pete, stop talking. Pete, stop talking. Pete, 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 Pete.
We're all friends here.
Oh my God.
So I was going to say, if I wanted to hear talk like that, I would just watch PK Subban. Did you see PK Subban at the intermission, Katie?
I switch off the intermission because listen, PK Subban hates us. I think he has his reasons, and I think we sort of have to reckon with that as a fan base. So I try not to listen to him because I know he doesn't like us, and I know I'm not going to like what he has to say. What did he say?
So I like PK Subban the person. He's a fucking dreadful analyst.
Yes.
That whole thing is not a good time. But what were they showing somebody do? Oh, they were showing Jack Eichel cutting his stick.
Yeah.
And they did something. This was like something that Pete and I would do. They come back and PK is like, well, I was going to say, no, I won't say it. And they were like, what were you going to say, PK? And he was like,
oh, no.
I'm not a carpenter, but I've been known to swing a hammer, or like, but I've got a hammer.
Yeah.
And Steve Levy was like, I've heard that about you, PK.
That was
and
the
it's
weirdest
like,
part
wrong
of it.
fucking broadcast to be doing that on.
What
all the
hell?
wrong people were saying that the whole fucking show. That broadcast is like, we are going to be the buttoned up one. We're not going to be the fast and loose one. Like if Biz says that on TNT, no one fucking listens and they just move on and it's really funny. And then we clip it and we're like, did you hear what Biz got in there? But PK did like, everybody, I have something to say. I won't say it. My penis.
And then he laughed for like 3 minutes afterwards, like somebody else said it. Like, you know, like the laugh that you give, like when you're like, I can't believe he just said that. He did that shit after he said it himself.
You,
but
buddy.
I think
You were in control.
I think if we're making the case that hockey is for everyone, we have to allow old men to talk about their penises.
But I don't know if old men talk
have
about their
every other-
penises.
We also have every other sport for that. Like, what if we just let this one not be that?
That is
God
true.
damn. I just want to see something genuinely funny on sports TV. I miss it. Other than like the NBA, inside the NBA, I just feel like everything's so like, not going to say the thing. Oh, he almost said the thing. Say the thing, kind of. Laugh for 5 minutes, go to break. And you're just like, that's not that
They're
funny,
going for the
guys.
clip.
Come on,
Yeah.
I guess.
Hey,
Yes.
did you
for
see
them.
the Brad Marchand lip reading thing that went down last
Yeah,
night?
when you brought up Biz, I was going to say, didn't he report that was the wrong? Didn't he say what they said? And I
Love
was like,
you mean it,
that's
Biz.
not
Bad job.
what
Yeah.
What the hell? That was such a bad look. Yeah, I saw the clip. I can't read lips. I'll be the first to admit it.
You didn't
But
have to. It was loud.
Yeah, right. That's like, there was audio.
Oh, there was.
There
You
was
could hear
audio.
him
You could
saying-
hear him
say
saying it.
like, "Hey
I
guys."
was watching the clip real close because I assumed it was a lip read. I'm an idiot. So that's on me. But I do think it's just crazy, even if they were just lip reading, to put that on the official tweet and just send it without any sort of, I don't know. I feel like we grew up in the era where that was going to get checked and checked and checked, and they would make sure that they wrote like at least the word sources before, like to just say that that's exactly what happened without being like, maybe that's not correct is wild.
Yeah.
It's more wild for Biz to see that Sportsnet tweeted it, then deleted it, and then recite it like 2 hours later on like the late edition of the panel and be
Right,
like,
which
yeah,
was
no,
plenty
yeah,
of
this
time
is
for
what
you
he
to-
said. And then it went, and then
I mean-
was posted again by Bleacher Report, being like, "Look what Brad Marchand said." We already did this.
But doesn't it all speak to how much Brad Marchand is breaking everybody, both inside and outside the Leafs dressing room? Katie, I don't know how you feel about this series right now, but last night was my holy fuck, the Leafs are so stupid and they are so able to be got, which we've always known. But in one game, Brad Marchand said, yes, I have 3 points this series, but I haven't really made my presence felt. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to fuck with Tyler Bertuzzi for a little bit. He's not good enough to match me as a player, so he's going to fuck up and go too far with that. Their goalie's going to be dumb. Their defensemen are going to be dumb. Their coach is going to say something afterwards, and no one's going to get it, and I'm going to be laughing at the end of this. Like, if I'm a Bruins fan, I feel so fucking confident right now.
Can I ask a really stupid question?
Always.
This is live, so I'm going to
I mean,
joke
I asked
that
you
can
about
edit it out.
Girthmaster, so it won't be the dumbest one on this thing. So
Is
go
it
ahead.
Is it not Samsonov anymore? Weren't we
No,
still
not-
doing
it's
that
not
for-
anymore.
That's not
Great
a dumb question
question.
at all.
We checked it yesterday,
What?
I think. It
Why
was
is that?
Samsonov in Washington.
Yeah.
And then just somewhere over the years. So now when I saw a clip of PFT commenter talking about him, and he said Samsonov, and I was taught a thing over years ago by Luke Bonner, which is don't judge somebody if they mispronounce a word because it means they've only read it. They just haven't heard it. They haven't heard it spoken yet.
It's me all the time.
If you hear somebody say Samsonov, it means they've heard about him probably longer
Right.
than you because they know him from back in the day
Yeah.
when we all said his name wrong. So
Yeah.
it's Samsonov now.
Oh, so actually, I'm smarter. I'm not. That wasn't stupid. That was me being really
You were
smart.
right. Yeah.
That was a
Oh,
flex.
yeah. This also feels
Yeah.
like the Marchand thing when that happened.
Well, that's like him being an asshole. He
That's him
changed his
I
name
know.
like 3
fucking
Well,
times.
back to the point, which is that he's so good at it. God, I'd hate him more than anything if he was anybody but ours. And I love him that much because he's ours. He's just the best.
I actually have seen like the court of public opinion shift on Brad Marchand. Like I've seen a lot of neutrals be like, "Damn, Brad Marchand's actually cool."
You know what?
Notice how many sorry to cut you off, DJ, on your own show. How many like Canadian team fans are like us or like are on our side? Is that because they hate Toronto that
Yes.
much?
Yeah,
That's
very simple
crazy.
explanation. Everybody hates Toronto.
Crazy.
Yeah, Canadian teams
Not
can't feel as bad about them not winning the cup if they can be like, Leafs, what the fuck are you guys doing, bud? So I think we have
Yeah,
some.
but I would never support a Habs fan in any endeavor. I mean, the Habs in any endeavor. So I can't. To seeing them support us, I'm like, what's wrong? What are you doing? Get out of here.
Oh man, no. I think honestly, a big part of it, not to get high on our own supply, the clips of us goofing around with Marchand at the beginning of the year, being like, oh fuck, you guys are making fun of him for being short, and not only is he not killing you, he's like
Genuinely enjoying
adding to it
Yeah.
and making it even funnier. So this guy is actually a funny person and doesn't kill people who are making fun of him. I can get down with that.
Yeah,
especially for people
he's
who
the
want to
best.
make fun of Brad Marchand themselves. But I thought that all the stuff
Yeah.
last night with Marchand was just masterful on his part, but also the Leafs losing their fucking shit after. At some point, we'll play the Sheldon Keefe clip where he's talking.
It's an art. He's elite at it. Clip.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he's like, it's an art. He's a lead at it. The way that he gets calls, the way that he's able to do this, and he draws all these penalties, blah, blah. There were 3 penalties taken by the Leafs last night, okay? One was drawn by Charlie Coyle. One was drawn by Charlie McAvoy. And the other one came from your idiot defenseman fucking sending the puck over the glass totally unprompted. None of those 3 penalties had anything to do with Brad Marchand. The goal that was scored by Trent Frederick, yes, it had a little something to do with him because your team was crying about him when he was fucking around with Tyler Bertuzzi, but also your goalie has to make that save. And the goal that Brad Marchand scored, you know why that was fucking scored? Because after Tyler Bertuzzi scored for your team, you, the coach, Sheldon Keefe, with last change at home, saw Boston put out a new line and said, you know what, boys? Let's run it back. Stay out there. They have fresh legs, sure, but get out. 28 seconds later, they allow a goal. It's your fucking fault that you lost that game. And also your captain at the end of the game took a really stupid fucking penalty that, was it a great call? No, but if you fucking hold a defenseman behind the net in front of an official, it's getting called. Everything was self-inflicted. Like 5% of it was Brad Marchand doing the Brad Marchand thing. 95% of it was the Leafs fucking melting down over
Well,
it.
that's what I was going to say. Like, if for a game in which Brad Marchand burrowed himself into the brains of the Leafs fans, it was done in the most tasteful way Brad Marchand could possibly do it.
No
which was,
cheap shots.
No cheap shots. No like real super asshole behavior. Like you could say, you can look at the interaction with Bertuzzi and say he should have been called for a penalty, but it wasn't like dirty. He was just fucking mixing it up with them. So about as tasteful a Brad Marchand troll game as you could ever imagine.
Well, that's why it's an art and he's elite at it. To me, to these ears, that was a compliment. I was like, it
100%.
absolutely is. And the eliteness of it is the fact that his fingerprints aren't on any of the things, but he was in their heads and somehow he's like Littlefinger. He's like moving in the shadows and like he can still mess with you without being out front as being the one that like causes the thing and actually physically messes with you. He's brilliant and he's good at hockey. It's like he doesn't have to be all the things and he is, and I love that.
And that's the thing, like Bertuzzi, the last 2 games has been doing some of the like along the line. Sometimes he crosses it, and as I watch that, I'm like, not quite good enough to be doing that. You're not good enough at hockey to be doing that, and he is a good player.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's a lot easier to swallow when it's a guy who could score 40 goals.
I mean, not that this guy scores 40 goals, but I don't look at Bertuzzi as the guy on Toronto who's trying to be the Marchand. It's Max Domi.
Mm-hmm.
Max Domi clearly came out in game 1 of this series and made it very clear that he was going to try to be the villain in this series. And at points he's been effective, but at points it seems like he's kind of just pushing that agenda too hard and being a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I mean, the shortest path to it is to mess with somebody's goalie. And last night, I know that afterwards Sway was like, no, we just were both skating. It's like not a big deal. I need to get my abs stronger or whatever he said. But it just like that just feels like you're right. I didn't notice really that until you just said that's clearly what he's trying to do, and how embarrassing to not be that good at it.
Yeah, that's the thing for that role. That role can be a very, very crucial and just very endearing role to play on a team. But if you do it incorrectly, you look like a fucking moron.
Yeah, and Max Domi right now, I would say, is as good as Brad Marchand was in 2011. So if like the Leafs can make some sort of run, maybe he can be a part of that. But Katie, I just don't see it happening. I think the Leafs are dead, and I think they fucked themselves last night. I want to ask you this as a Boston person. How do you feel about the goalie rotation? Because we haven't weighed in on this yet. I'm going all Mark in game 4. Fuck you guys.
I didn't say anything.
I am as well. I don't know about fuck you guys, but I think that last year scared me. And I just think like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like if somebody has a bad game, you don't immediately bench them. Like that's not good for, like, you know what I'm saying? I know it wouldn't be a benching, but if the point is that we're alternating and then suddenly you're just like, well, we didn't win your game, so you don't get to start like you normally would, is wild, because Ullmark is not the reason that we lost that game by a long shot. It was the offense's fault. So why would you, even if you think, is it like some elite level of like superstition that you think him start? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Stick with what has worked and fix the things that were broken. But the goaltending has not been the problem by a long shot.
No, definitely not. I would honestly say go back to Ullmark in game 4, just because the rotation has been working all season. It's been working so far in this series. Both, like, we haven't got a bad goaltending performance yet. I think if you're going to mess with the goalie rotation, it's more because somebody shits the bed versus somebody has a really good game. And Jeremy Swayman has been the better goalie in this series, maybe been the best Bruin in this series. But I would still say, don't fuck with what isn't broken yet.
I'm not trying to leave in the first round. We have more rounds we're going to have to do after this. So if we already start like messing around with the formula, then who's to say the effect that's going to have on a goalie for the next series and then the next? It's like, just keep it. We don't need to do anything crazy right now. We should be beating this team. We should be moving on. Stay the course.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's going to be a tough decision. Like, why make a tough decision now when you can make a tough decision later? That's the number one rule of life. Right. Don't fucking do it now. Kick it down the road. And right now you have the excuse of, this is what the plan was. We would, but we have a plan. Sorry. And then wait till you have to make a tough decision.
Either way. Again, an embarrassment of riches complaint. But if you have two amazing goalies, the difficult thing is that if you don't start one, then you bench an amazing goalie. And when the game is over, people can point to that as the reason why you lost. Like, that is a difficult thing about this situation, but it's like, that comes with it. So I think, like you said, just stick with the plan, and they're going to criticize no matter what if anything happens, but you can go, but this was the plan. But you knew the plan. And you can also go, and it was the offense. This is the problems with the offense. It had nothing to do with that. So,
and then you get to do we're doing a very hockey fan thing right now, which is, hey, it wasn't the goaltending. I know that your dumbass is going to look at the goalie. It's that they didn't score enough. That's my favorite hockey argument, because it's always right. It's like, well, they would have won if they fucking scored more goals. So you take that goalie take and you stuff it, brother.
But then look at like the Jets Avalanche game. That was like 8-7. I don't think anybody was looking at that game being like, if they only scored more, if they only hung up 8 goals on Connor Hellebuck.
We all silly like the mayor.